Thanks for joining us here on Mom Squad. I'm Maureen Kyle, and this is a show where we talk all things parenting. And thank goodness we are headed into the summer months. But with hot weather comes water activities. Whether it's swimming, boating, or just being around water, there are so many safety concerns. Obviously, drowning being the number one. There are a number of skills that you can teach your own child on your own, no matter what age, and some general safety rules that you need to stress to your family. Today, we go live on location. We chat with Leah Morris, the owner of Liquid Lifestyles, a swim school that teaches toddlers through adults. There are people who either consider swim lessons for the first time, or they're thinking, how can I improve my child's swim skills? How should we be approaching learning how to swim in general, especially thinking about, okay, we're going to be outside this summer?
Safety first. You know, one of the main concerns that as a swim professional we have is just general safety around the water. And those are going to be rules that I would have parents discuss with them before getting to the pool. You know, let's not wait till you're actually around water to start discussing being safe around water. So things of the fact of, you know, are you allowed to swim by yourself? What happens if your favorite toy or a ball rolls into the pool? Do you go and get it, or do you come and find a parent or a grown-up to help assist with that recovery of your toy? Are you allowed to get into the water before a parent or a guardian is in the water first? Having conversations about being safe around water does not need to be a summer activity. And in fact, at Liquid Lifestyles, we talk about safety around pool decks, not running, not going into a bathtub by yourself, not approaching a pond, you know, without an adult with, you know, supervising you throughout the entire year. So I would start with that. Upon getting to the pool though, you know, there's a lot of different approaches that a parent can have based off of the age, based off of the level of swimmer. But I would caution that most parents view their children to be better, more advanced swimmers than they actually are. And that can be a critical error, especially in the summertime.
I was going to say, I know there's this false sense of security almost, like, oh, well, my child can touch. Or that's only 3 feet. Or they had swim lessons when they were little, they should be fine. Is that putting our kids in danger?
Absolutely. Yeah, that false sense of security, and it can be with flotation devices that offer parents a false sense of security for both themselves and also the children. You know, I can talk for days about the dangers of flotation devices and how children start to become accustomed with it, and parents start to become accustomed with the fact, well, they're in a floaty, they're going to be okay. That's a critical error as well. The other thing too, you know, a lot of times parents, when they approach the water, it's all active, very vigilant watching and supervision until their phone beeps, and then they get a text message or they get a phone call, and it only takes seconds. Touch supervision, meaning like we're arms width away from our little swimmer in the water, is number one. That is the most important thing that you can do to keep your child safe, and limiting those distractions. So when you start off and you're having a blast and you're right there, let the phone ring. Let the texts wait till later, because turning your back and going out of the pool or just grabbing the phone and being, you know, distracted for a few minutes, it only takes seconds for something to happen.
What are some of the first few things you can do with a child to get them used to the water? Let's say they're afraid or they're not really comfortable in the water. What are those first few steps you can take?
Typically, you know, it's not the legs that are scary going in the water. It's not the arms going in the water that cause fear. It's this, the face. It's having water over your eyes and water on your cheeks. So we need to concentrate on that. We need to concentrate on the shoulders up, because learning how to swim requires that the face is underwater, requires that they're comfortable being able to take a breath, holding their breath, or doing their nose bubbles beneath the surface. But it requires that their head is comfortable below water. So here, you know, in swim lessons, step number one, lesson number one, we don't wait weeks and weeks. Lesson number one, we are getting acclimated for water going over the face, on the mouth, in the mouth, over the eyes. So we can use cups, we use mirrors, we use different toys to be able to very gently have some water, you know, streaming down. With the mirrors, they can put the mirror just below the surface, and they can do silly faces and look at themselves below water. But that's step one, and don't avoid it. So whether they're doing bath time, shower time, and the first few minutes of in the pool, splash, have fun and play, but don't avoid getting the face wet. So this is a skill we call Humpty Dumpty pool rules and turnarounds. So Sophia's demonstrating what we do at every single lesson, the act of falling in incidentally or accidentally into the pool, turning around and coming back to the wall. It's been studied that a lot of fatal drownings that have been caught on camera occur when a child falls in and they pop up, they see a wall across the way, and they start swimming in that direction. So one of the skills that we work to reinforce on a continual basis is if any sort of accident were to occur and they to fall in, that they turn, come back around, grab the wall, and then we also practice getting out, navigating and getting out of the pool. We do this all the time, and this is a skill that a parent at any pool setting should be able to do on a regular basis.
And what age range?
All ages.
All ages?
Yeah, because based on the depth, even if you're an older child, we're here in a shallow pool they might be able to touch. If it happens in deep water, we need to make sure that on a single breath of air that they have the capability and the confidence that they can turn around and get back out.
Right. And you were talking about how important it is to do a lot of the underwater practices and skills even at home. So what are some of the other things that parents can teach?
So maybe I'll have Sophia demonstrate some underwater swimming skills where we are not taking arms out of the water.
Okay.
Because anytime you take an arm out of the water, that's considered weight. And weight drags a child, it drags an adult, it drags anybody down. And it should be reserved for more technical, high-level swimming skills. So one of the things that we'll teach, and you'll even see when Sophia jumps in, that she's going to swim back to the wall with below water arm scoops and keep everything where she can use the weight of herself in the water to support. So in this skill here, notice how the feet are at the edge of the pool. This is part of the safety skill. It's just one level up from doing it from a seated position. We stand up, we do the same technique though. Jump in, turn around, navigate back to the wall. And you can make this harder if the child is starting to become more advanced by, giving them a jumping goal maybe over a noodle or a little further away. So it's not so close to the wall, and then they have to jump and navigate back a little bit longer. And those are skills that you can just add for more advanced technique training.
And this is something a parent should do while they are in the water too?
Absolutely. And you always want to watch. You'll see Coach Joy is going to put her arm behind the back because it kind of swoops her in case they jump too close. A lot of children, if they get nervous, they start to jump and turn and boom, boom.
Yes,
boom.
I feel like especially every boy I know has that scar right under their chin from doing it.
Anticipating that is key. So a parent who is kind of trying to train this into their own child, we want them to jump far enough away, but they might not, and it's unpredictable. So always having that arm kind of behind just in case to give a little bit of a swoop to make sure they go far enough out.
I was always curious too with goggles. Like my littles always want their goggles on. Do we keep goggles on at all times, or do we train them to open their eyes? Okay,
half and half. So goggles give confidence. They're able to. They will be able to progress through their skills faster, which is great. Okay, we can get to a higher level of swimming proficiency with goggles, but then they start to become dependent upon them. So again, within a Liquid Lifestyles lesson, every single lesson we will do these same skills, and in fact, you can see Sophia's doing the same thing now without the goggles. Because Murphy's Law, they're going to be walking around, and if there was going to be an accident, they're not going to have their cap on, they're not going to be having their goggles on, and they probably won't have a swimsuit on. So we want to practice it a little bit of both, and it's just a matter of repeating those, non-goggle use skills every time they're in the water. But what Coach Doug is doing right now is we're practicing our choo-choos, which is just a really fun way of learning to navigate around the pool edge. Here we have a bar that they're using to support, but it could be any, all pools are different and have different conditions and edges. So they're navigating around the pool. It's important that they learn to navigate to steps and able to safely climb out of the steps. It's important to navigate to ladders and be able to climb safely out of ladders and back down as well. Because getting out of the pool, safely and understanding how to go up the ladder, holding on with two hands, all the way until they find solid footing, exiting the pool. These are all practical swimming skills that, you know, most backyard pools have ladders. Most outdoor public swimming pools have ladders, and this is a skill that they can practice before they actually have to use it.
Yeah.
Because you can see, I mean, it's not a natural thing.
No.
You know, a child going down a ladder is not a natural thing that they use in they have the opportunity to practice in everyday life. So we take it for granted as adults, like, oh, just move down the ladder step by step.
Right.
But as a young child, you know, they could be an easy slip up right there.
Oh, yeah.
If they're not comfortable with, you know, finding the footing before moving to the next rung.
Yeah, especially when they're playing. I've noticed mine try to go down facing the pool and almost with their back to the ladder. That's not
right.
safe.
And we do want the back towards the pool at all times. Okay, so Jordan's climbing down the ladder. Notice that we already have a coach in the water. And this is another safety skill that I would say parents should get into the habit of all the time, coaching their children that they are not permitted to get wet or start getting into the pool unless they are in the water already. We see it so often that there's excitement. They want to get in, they want to jump in, but the adult's not quite ready yet. We're not prepared. They're still setting up. They're still getting, you know, their towels organized. We have to make sure children understand the importance of being patient and waiting until an adult is in the water to supervise them. So Coach Joy right now is working with Jordan on relaxing on his back. And children, oftentimes, and this goes with adults as well, it's a position that is not loved initially, and it does take time to feel confident and comfortable being on their back. So breathing and relaxing, and you can even see by the fingers and the toes, there's no tension. We sing very often. We do some songs with our youngest to distract them from the actual act of doing a back float.
Yeah.
But this is a safety skill that is so critical because it is where they can find air.
Yeah.
It's where they can find air.
Do you tell them if they get in trouble, go to the back float? I mean, is that something we should be teaching them?
Yes, if they are comfortable and able to do a back float. So there's a progression there, but there's two main breathing techniques that we employ at Liquid Lifestyles to getting air. One is going to be a pop-up breath, where they're literally just popping up to get air, but the other one is going to be a roll. The roll is more challenging. It's not as easily learned, and as you can see, Jordan's working on the initial steps to learn that rollover technique. Both are incredibly important, and both should be able to be done with confidence and repetition of any age, the pop-up and the rollover breath. One of the most fun activities that you can do with a child who now, if they like going underwater, one of the most practical and fun skills is getting dive toys at the bottom of the pool. They have a blast doing it. It teaches them how to control their air. It teaches them how to move and navigate below the water. So, you know, regardless of the depth, this here is about 4.5 feet, but it could be in deeper water if you wanted to challenge your child to go down to the bottom of a 6 foot. It could be on the steps. It doesn't matter how deep that dive toy is, but doing it in repetition, it encourages a love for the water, and it will 100% translate into better swimming skills as we start getting into more advanced techniques.
Let's go see, because I'd love to know what adults can do, depending on their skill level as well, because I feel like, I mean, I know my own father never really had swim lessons. He can be in a pool, but he never really had swim lessons.
A lot of the older generation didn't have the you know, they didn't have the swim schools of today. They didn't have the push to get into swim lessons. So we see a staggering number of adults in their 40s and their 50s that come to us that either had a near drowning experience or have this real fear of being in the water, and they come to us learning the actual basics of going underwater, breathing, comfort, and then we do lessons for adults all the way through if they want to, you know, participate in an Ironman. So no matter the age, no matter the skill level, there is no right time to start. The right time to start is now. So this is Jessica's very first lesson here at Liquid Lifestyles. So you can see we do adult level training, and we are starting off, as we typically do, with basic body position drills. So this is called a Superman glide. It is just teaching basic alignment, head positioning, comfort with breathing control.
Is it easier
when people are older to pick up the skills, or is it harder because they might not have the muscle memory that a child has?
Oh, that's a loaded question.
Does it depend on the person?
It really does.
Yeah.
If they conceptually, I think adults are able to conceptualize the skills better than perhaps children can, but then their own lack of confidence can get into the way, or they analyze it to the point where they no longer relax. And so much of learning how to swim is relaxing and just finding comfort with the water. So as an adult, if you are, whether you have never swum you're not a swimmer, or this is your very first time ever being exposed to the water, or if you're an advanced level swimmer, the only and best way to actually be able to proficiently do the drills is going to be repetition. Because you're not going to have, you'll stop analyzing it so much. You'll start to feel the water a little bit better. You know, as you can see, she's doing repeat after repeat after repeat of this Superman glide.
So the benefits of recording what she's doing, how does that help an adult?
Body awareness. In the water, your spatial awareness of what is actually happening can be skewed, and sometimes skewed a lot. So where an adult might really think that their head is in the right position, or their hips are at the surface, or their feet are doing a certain particular type of kick, they're very often, more often than not, shocked when they see the video of themselves and they say, oh, I see what you mean. I didn't realize my eyeballs were looking across the pool, or I didn't realize my hips were so low. So our coaches, and having these windows here at Liquid Lifestyles is a game changer, no doubt. Because we can now come down, take this video, immediately go right back up and show it the footage to whether it's a competitive swimmer or an adult learn to swim or a triathlete, and we can make immediate corrections based off of the visual feedback. Visual feedback is a big piece of our strategy for teaching all ages how to swim.
I also hear people say, oh, well, my kid, I didn't put them in swim lessons when they were young, it's too late. I mean, is there such thing as like too late for swim lessons?
No, there is no such thing as starting too late. Start today. Start tomorrow. Make that phone call. Find a provider that offers quality swim lessons, because swimming, I mean, we're Liquid Lifestyles. It is a lifestyle skill. Learning how to swim is not just about going to the pool for enjoyment. It's about being able to go onto a boat. It's about being able to go canoeing. It's going on vacation and snorkeling, scuba diving, jumping waves. There's so many activities around water that it's unfortunate for those older children and older adults that never had that skill, because it does take a little bit more time to learn as an adult, but we have adults every single day at Liquid Lifestyles that are learning to swim for the first time or overcoming a fear of water. You know, some of the most magical moments that we've experienced would be, and I'm thinking of one off my top of my head, a 50-year-old woman who had a near drowning experience as a child, didn't swim for 40 years, never set foot into the water, and just wants to experience playful activity with her grandchild. And she came in, and over the course of a few weeks of practicing these skills, she was able to go underwater and dive down and get rings and experience deep water without fear for the first time in her life. So it is never too late. The earlier you start, and we start here at 6 months, okay? And some programs even start earlier than that. The earlier you start, the easier. It's faster. It's more. It's like learning a language. It's a lot easier to do. But I would encourage any adult who wants to be able to participate in these water activities to learn how to swim.
You brought up boating, and in the summer a lot of people are on lakes or they're at the ocean. How different is that water than the pool?
Totally different. There's the visibility is zero for the most part. That's where, if you're gonna wear flotation devices, it is critical that you wear them in open water situations. So if you're gonna be stand-up paddleboarding or kayaking, or boating, that's where you have to have, and we would 100% encourage, children and adults to be in life jackets, but they need to be United States Coast Guard approved. And there will be a little badge on the interior of the life jacket that says U.S. Coast Guard approved. If it is not Coast Guard approved, don't throw it in the garbage. Throw it in the garbage, don't wear it.
All right. And you brought up before with the flotation devices with kids and parents, and I was one of them with my first, where I was like, well, they're wearing their floaties so they're safe. But I know there's a big debate of, is that holding them back from learning the skills? Yeah, so floaty, no floaty. I mean, it's one of those debates.
So the only thing that it does is, again, it gives a parent a little bit more security, especially if they have multiple children. And I get that. I have multiple children myself. I get that. But it is not a substitute. But the problem, the real problem with it is, it actually teaches them incorrect swimming habits. So as a swimming professional, okay, as one who wants to teach children how to be able to enjoy water with their own, talents without flotation devices, it hinders. It puts them in the wrong alignment. It doesn't allow them to explore the water freely. The basic body positions that are necessary to be able to swim efficiently in the pool or in a lake or wherever are not able to be accomplished when they have whether it's water wings or the puddle jumpers or a United States Coast Guard approved life jacket. Any of those devices reduce the ability for a child to truly learn how to swim. So, I would recommend, if you have to put, and there are some situations where it makes 100% sense to put them in a life jacket. But if you can look at, the totality of time, try to make it well over 75% of the time is without a life jacket, because then those children are actually learning the skills, they're exploring the water, they're understanding their own ability, they're understanding what their limitations are, and the parents are going to have a much better understanding of what their child's ability level is as well.
And another great reminder, don't place false security in lifeguards. If your child isn't a proficient swimmer, they need to be within arm's reach at all times. And when it comes to boating, another great reminder, drinking and boating just don't mix. The Safe Boating Council says alcohol continues to be the leading cause of fatal boating accidents. Most of all, we want you to have a safe, happy, and healthy kickoff to summer. Thanks so much for joining us here on Mom Squad. We'll see you right back here next time.